Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 3 of the Comeback Collective. It is me, your host, Rebecca Shaw. You might know me online as The Real Rebecca. I'm so glad you're here today. We've got a lot to talk about. Today I'm going to be going into detail as to what I did to prepare to get divorced, and if I ever get married again, what I'm going to be doing different. As many of you know, I caught my ex-husband, my ex-best friend, almost 6 years ago to the date, having an affair. Which, side note, shameless plug, but I just wrote a book. It literally came out probably the same day that you're listening to this. So go to Amazon, find Shattered and Free. It is the romance novel version, the romance novel POV of what happened. Yes, I know. If you're like, oh, jaw is on the floor. For everyone I've told, their jaw has also been on the floor. So anyway, so as many of you know, I was with my ex-husband for about 1.5 years prior to finally wanting to leave. When he first cheated, I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was a stay-at-home mom. We just had a baby. We just had a second baby. We'd owned a house. Like, we put a lot of time, effort, and money into the house. I just was not ready to leave. I also did not know about the resources that are available for moms and children. So had I known about things like EBT, food stamps, WIC, alimony, child support, all that kind of stuff, I would 100% have left sooner. But this is what I did to get my ducks in a row, to be able to get divorced and really have nothing tying me to my ex-husband other than our kids. So the first thing that I did was I just emotionally prepared myself, not only to be alone, but just to heal from what had happened. Journaled, therapy, talked to people, very few people. And that worked. It helped a lot. I'd recommend. Still do it. I have like 8 journals full. And it's wild to go back and read the things I've written. So there was the emotional preparation, right, for leaving a relationship. Distancing yourself from family members. I already kind of had distance between me and my in-laws family, whatever they're called, and I can go into more detail about that on another day. That's like a whole other episode. So just like distancing myself, knowing that like I'm gonna be moving soon, like just kind of starting to distance myself from neighbors and just things like that. Like all people that I love to care about at some point, but you just have to like emotionally start distancing yourself from them to prepare to be able to leave. And of course, the biggest one, the finances. I had to get my finances in order. So I have had like a 770 plus credit score my entire life. I started establishing my credit when I was like 16. At one point, even now, I think, my credit line is like $150,000 or something wild, like something where I'm like, I would never want to have that much debt on a credit card, but it's great because it helps my score. My utilization is real low. So got my finances in order, and what I did, the biggest thing that helped, again, owning a house. This is why real estate is such a great investment. So we owned our house beginning of 2020. Rates were low, astronomically low. We all refinanced, right? We refinanced, had lower rates, we refinanced, took money out, put in a pool, whatever. So 9 months go by and I'm like, oh, like we could refinance again. The rates have dropped even lower. The value of our house has still gone up even higher. So I ended up refinancing our house. I took out enough to pay off all of our joint credit cards, which I'd never had credit card debt before. Never, ever. My entire life, my parents don't have credit card debt. I got married and I started having credit card debt and it killed me. So got all that paid off, and it was mostly like house stuff, like house renovation. Oh, we need to do this in the yard. We need to do this in the bedroom. And it adds up, especially since I wasn't really working. I was like self-employed. So got the house refinanced, took that cash, paid off all of those credit cards, and then either closed them if I couldn't just take him off, or took him off because they were all my credit cards that he had been added to. So that's something I will never do again in the future. I will like have a segment of this of like what I won't do, but I might trickle it in there. I will never combine my finances with someone ever combine my finances with someone ever again. So took him off the credit cards I could, had to close out like my oldest credit card that I couldn't take him off of. I was devastated. So got all that paid off. I paid off my car paid off like my cell phone, just little things. And then the plan had been to pay off his car, his truck, whatever, after we'd filed for taxes and bloody yada yada yada. Well, you know, after I left the man, he decided that he wasn't going to pay the bills anymore. So thank God I had like a little bit of a nest egg from that refinance to then continue to pay the bills until the house sold in March. Because I left him in November, we sold the house in March. So thank goodness for that. But again, I'm still at this point like 3-4 months into being divorced, separated, have no alimony, have no child support. I didn't know about any of those things. So to reiterate, I got my finances in order by refinancing the house, paying off all our cards, either closing them, removing him, and having the only thing that's tied me to this man was a house that we were going to sell and my 2 kids. I don't know why that was like, which in hindsight, I very much regret selling the house. I actually had planned to like rent it to him, like take him off, maybe refinance with my folks, whatever, and then actually let him live in the house and him just pay rent, because I had been the one who came up with the down payment, which you're going to read about in the book. So that's why I'm mentioning it now. So I came up with the down payment, 20% on the house. And then he basically just paid the rent, paid the mortgage, which is what I would do differently in the future. If I'm in that type of a situation, I'm going to like literally set my partner up, my husband up. Like if I'm the one who bought the house or I put the down payment down, like I'm the landlord, you're the tenant. Because there's just no reason that should have been community property, but live, laugh, love, it was. So anyway, I digress. So let's see, I got my finances in order, kind of like on the back burner. No one really noticed. What's ironic is I had always been the one to deal with all of our accounting, all the finances, all of everything. It's something I'm good at. It's something my mom's good at. It's just what my mom did, so that's what I did. I was good at it. So towards the end, my ex-husband suddenly started like taking interest. So I don't know if he was up to his own something, if he was thinking like maybe she's up to something, or if he was just like, oh, it's time for me to step up as a man. But anyway, so what I'm getting at is if you're not the person who normally does finances and things like that, girl, go start a bank account. Go get a credit card. Go do all of those things that you need to do to be on your own. And then as far as housing, you guys have heard that story before. So originally I had bought this like 27-foot long 2012 Keystone Springdale. It's like my first baby, my first RV. And I renovated it, gutted it out, made it beautiful, moved it to my grandparents' house, temporarily lived in it. So my ex-husband and I, because we frankly could not afford two rents at one time, mortgage and rent, we would share the house. So I would leave where we lived, drive 30 miles to where my family is, and live in my RV for 3 days. And he would go from living at his parents' house across town, come back to the kids. So we went back and forth like that from basically December, January, February, half of March. So 3.5 months. We did that whole thing back and forth. And originally, I'm laughing because some of you have heard the story and you know how it ends. Originally, my plan had been to renovate a granny unit for some family, move in. They were going to charge me $1,200 a month in rent, give me 2 months free rent for doing the renovation. And my poor little trusting Rebecca, who thinks she can trust her family, didn't have any sort of a contract or any written agreement with them, and they screwed me over. So long story short, moved into an RV on my grandparents' property, was there for about 2 years, and then we all know how that story went. I told the story like I am right now. They tried to retaliate against me by calling in code enforcement, and it was just a mess. I haven't shared this, I actually ended up moving to my cousin's ex-wife's property. I called her up and I was like, girl, you'll never believe what your ex-husband and his new wife did to me. And she was like, what? So her and her husband and their family took care of us for about 6 months. We like moved up there, live out in the country, live in the RV there. So what I'm getting at is you gotta have a place to live, whether that's an RV, a couch at your parents' house. I do look back and wish that my parents had had space for us, but that's like a whole other story, and I just gotta like let that go. So that's one of those things now where I'm like, I will always have a place for my children to live, no matter how old they are, because you never know what's gonna happen. So making sure that you have a backup plan for housing. But again, I had planned this out. So had I known about things like housing vouchers through the county or anything like that, I probably would have like applied for those earlier. or whatever and have had that. Or there's like a lot of apartment complexes where you can just go to them and they have like certain like low income housing apartments and things like that. Even if they're not, like their whole complex isn't low housing, they have to have actually a certain number of like low housing apartments in their building for whatever reason. So keep that in mind. Again, something I did not know 5 years ago. So when I decided it was finally time to leave, I had my ducks in a row. I had my house refinanced. I had paid off the car. I paid off the credit cards. I had started to declutter a bunch of things, like wedding gifts, like, you know, that big KitchenAid mixer. So got all my ducks in a row. It was like the day before Thanksgiving. And I just remember being like, okay, you know, like we're getting along, right? That's what like irks me when someone tries to argue with me or fight. I'm like, I didn't even fight with my ex-husband. I'm not fighting with you. I'm not arguing with you. I didn't even argue with the man I left. So all was cool. We're just basically roommates at this point, business partners, if you would. Like our life was our business. And we were business partners. So it was November and I was going to wait. I was going to wait for Thanksgiving. I was going to wait for Christmas. I was going to wait for his birthday and then our daughter's birthday in January. And it's like the day or two before Thanksgiving. Remember, I made this man's world go round, right? I'd come home from something, he'd had the kids all day and something was amiss. Something was amiss. He was upset about something. And, you know, we went to couples therapy and my biggest issue was I used to interrupt. So I sit there, just waiting my turn. He's like ragging on me for something. I wish I had remembered because it was so trivial. It was like, oh, we're out of toilet paper, or my underwear wasn't clean, or like, you know, something like that. Something like so trivial. And I wait and I look him in the eyes and I go, I think it's time for us to separate. And he was like, oh, I didn't imagine this conversation going that way. That was kind of when I hit my breaking point is what I'm getting at. Because you're going to hit your breaking point. Something's going to happen. It could be like they smiled the wrong way. It could be you walked in on them screwing someone else. But when you hit that breaking point, you're going to know. And I looked at him and I said, it's time for us to separate. I was like, I need you to sleep in the guest bedroom tonight. And of course, the next day, right? The next day, he's like bringing me breakfast in bed and playing with the kids and cleaning the house and doing all the bare minimum things he should have done as a husband the whole 5 years we'd been together. 7 years. The whole 7 years we'd been together. We'd been together for 5 years and then he cheated and then it was 7 years when we got divorced. Anyway, yes. So I put up with that for about 2 weeks, maybe. I don't even know if it was that long. And I was like, you need to move out. Like you have to go to your parents. And that was when I did the whole like moving the RV for a while before I finished the RV and actually moved it to where I lived. I was crashing on my parents' couch. So I did crash on my parents' couch for like a month while the kids occupied the house and we went back and forth. Which, that strategy, I've got mixed feelings. I've got mixed feelings about that strategy. So it worked out well for us. It also, I think, helped that like there weren't at this point any other people involved. Like he wasn't still seeing the woman he had the affair with. I wasn't seeing anyone, he wasn't seeing anyone I knew. He wasn't seeing anyone I knew about. So I think that helped with that situation a little bit, being able to go back and forth. But what was hard was I felt like the kids suddenly were like the king of the castle. It was their house, right? They didn't come and go. We came and went. So it was their house. So there was definitely like a little bit of a power struggle, which is wild because my daughter was not even 2. So to be like, I had a power struggle with a 4 and a 2-year-old. Send help. Okay, so that is everything that I did to prepare to leave. Very basic, very basic. Again, things that I did not know about are like city, county, government aid via food stamps, WIC. There's just different programs. There's different programs out there there's news. There's like all of the programs out there for domestic violence and things like that. So be sure to look in your county, figure out what programs are available. I know that there's not enough. I know that. I'm hoping one day I can help change that. But in the meantime, see what's available and just know that unless you have a prenup, alimony and child support, you're entitled to it. If you can't afford a lawyer, you can contact like DCSS or whatever by yourself and they will help you fill out the paperwork. And like these women who work for the Department of Child Support Services, like they love their job. They love ruining a man's day. So contact them, have them help you, get the bag that you deserve because you're the baby mama. All right. let's move on. So things that I would do different, this is just like logistically the things I'm going to do different if I ever got married again, and then maybe we'll go into like the dating portion of this conversation. But 100% we'll be having a prenup. Even just for things of like determining like, okay, if we split up and we had any community property, who's paying for what until it's decided. So there's no like, oh, I'm just gonna walk away. Like, no, you're legally bound anyway, but it's just like one more level of accountability. I won't have any community property. Everything will be like through an LLC or some sort of a business with an operating agreement that says like, hey, I put in 30%, he put in 70%, or I put in 70%, he put in 30%, whatever. And then in your LLC operating agreement, you have written out like how you're going to dissolve your business, or if someone needs to be bought out or whatever. So 100% zero community property. It will all be in an LLC. I think a year or 2 years ago, I created like a living trust. So like my life insurance policy and any other my other assets are all like going to my kids. So there's no like, oh, I got married and then I died in a car accident and like my husband got everything, my kids got nothing, right? So you got to put those things in place. So living trust, don't have any community property, and then keep your fucking finances separate. Let's start over. Keep your finances separate, please. Please. I don't care if you have a joint account that you both like send money to pay bills and different things with like it runs like a zero balance, you know, or like you keep like the minimum that the bank wants in there. We're not combining finances. We're not combining paychecks. We're not having joint credit cards. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, if he has an Amex Platinum, like have him put you on there for the benefits. No, I'm not saying like you can't be an authorized user for like the benefits of a card, but I'm just saying like do not rack up debt together. Don't do it. Do not do it. There's just a few things that I'm going to be doing differently, just in general. Dating, talking, hanging out, whatever the words are these kids use these days. So the first one is do not ignore red flags in the name of hope. Don't do it. Don't do it. Too many times as women, we like fall in love with their potential. We fall in love with their potential. We're like, oh, I could see this or I could see that. And I'm not saying like don't, like, oh yeah, I see them down the road and us being successful or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. But like, don't put so much emphasis on their potential because they're probably going to let you down. They're probably going to let you down, especially if you are in your 30s or 40s or 50s, or you're dealing with men in their 30s or 40s or their 50s. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then number 2, build your own identity first. Do not let your identity be wrapped around a man. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You might be like, what do you mean? Okay, remember, he's not the prize, you are. If you think he's the prize, then you have low self-worth and you need to go work on that. You need to go work on that. It's something we all need to work on a little bit, you know? Have like a healthy level of like self-obsession with yourself, because no one's ever going to love you more than you love yourself. So you got to take care of yourself so you can take care of everyone else. And then you'll know, like if I'm doing this for myself, this is the bare minimum, right? So no man can top that. And then we have to make sure, number 3, we got to make sure he's doing his own work, right? So is he in therapy? Is he doing all the things he's supposed to do? Does he have hobbies? Is he motivated? Does he have goals? Does he know what he wants to do with his life? Or is he just okay with like being mediocre? Number 4, protect the sacred. They don't need to touch you. They don't need to. They don't need to touch you. They can go touch themselves, right? So hold off. Don't get attached. Have no skin in the game because we don't care, right? 1 month in, the men in my life right now have like a 1 month expiration date. Or like, it's like, you know, like you sniff it and you're like, oh, it says it's expired, but I think it's got like 3 more days. So let them show you their true colors. They're going to. Most of these men, after they hit the month, they cannot keep it up. They cannot keep it up. Especially if you're like a strong, independent, consistent woman. These men cannot keep up. And a lot of people will be like, oh, you'll know after 3 months. No, you're going to know after probably 1 month. So keep your clothes on. Keep them out of your pants, because why? Why? And then emotionally, you're not as attached to them if you don't give them a piece of yourself. Do I need to sit here and tell you that? Probably. And then the other point that I was going to make is just like keeping outside voices out. You don't need to tell everyone everything. You don't need to have like all of your friends. You don't need to be showing your friends your text messages with this person. Like, just keep it to yourself. Keep it in. I feel like anytime you start telling someone, oh, I'm seeing someone, like a week, you just put a week expiration. So stop talking about it. Which leads me to number 5 is take your time. Take your time. Slow down. It might be out of fear. It might be because you don't trust anyone. I don't. I've got trust issues up the wazoo, and I'm okay with that, right? Like, I had an ex who would constantly use his sick family members as an excuse to not be able to show up or cancel on me or whatever. So now anytime a man is like, oh, my grandma, I'm like, I don't fucking believe it. Just try not to cuss on this podcast, but I don't believe it. So, ooh. Anyway. Okay, so that kind of concludes our episode for today. I had notes, but I still feel a little scatterbrained. So let me know in the comments what else you want me to go further into detail about, and I will. Be sure to go onto Amazon and snag your copy of Shattered and Free. It'll ship on Prime. You can read it in a couple days. It's a quick read. The whole entire book was based off of like 3 weeks. So it's a quick read, but it's a good one. So whether you're thinking about leaving, you're in the middle of it, or you're rebuilding, you're not alone. Your comeback is around the corner. Remember, if you have a comeback story, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email. We will get you on the podcast. We'll get you on the show. And then I am super excited. We have a guest coming up. So that is going to be super fun. She's a holistic nutritionist, and she has a insane comeback story to tell, which I'm super excited. So I will catch you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to do all the things. Like, follow, subscribe on all the pages, on all the channels, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. You know the drill. All right. Love you guys. Bye.